And because of that, it's so important when you create your website, when you design or work with your designer to see it, you need to know how to create pages which are so responsive.
The Making Business Effortless podcast, a podcast for online service-based providers and coaches who want to grow a fully booked and effortless business. Check show notes, add the Making Business Effortless podcast to your follow list, and join the Effortlessly Booked community for deeper support and services supporting you in your journey to an effortlessly booked business. I am here with Kristina Milosevic. Is that how you say it?
Milosevic.
Milosevic. Is that right?
Yes, that's right.
First, we have to get her name right. I've always known her as Kristina. I've known her for some time. There are 3 things that people forget to really look at when they're building a web page. It's not really about making it look pretty. It's about making it user-friendly. And those 3 areas are how it looks on your mobile devices, the mobile responsiveness, and how easy it is to navigate on a mobile device, as well as the page load speed. Believe it or not, there are some things that actually you can do quite easily to increase that page load speed, and not because that is the number one reason why people bounce off of a web page, is because it takes too damn long for it to load. The third one we're going to cover is clear, intuitive navigation, which means the overall user-friendliness of your website. And I'm going to let her go ahead and introduce herself real quick, and then we'll talk about mobile responsiveness.
And hello, Leah. Thank you for inviting me today. I'm a digital marketing coach, podcast creator, and speaker. My zone of genius is marketing.
Yay!
I'm marketing part,
Even better.
But in that part, what I do for many years as a consultant to connect with clients, and my job was just to learn about it and put that in practice, how to know in practical side from our clients. So
I think that's helpful to know that, because web design is web design, but really the thing behind it is marketing. And that's really where your zone of genius is when you're talking about web design. So one of the biggest things I see people make a mistake on, like when you see somebody's web page on a mobile device and it looks kind of funky, what are some things to watch for or do in order to make sure that not only the web page looks good on the computer, but also the mobile page? What do you need to look for?
We when you are asking that, it's about mobile responsiveness, because and why it's non-negotiable, because we need to have that our website to be a mobile friendly. And we say that today with more than 85 to 90% of users in the planet use mobile devices, and go from there just to research something. And because of that, it's so important when you create your website, when you design or work with your designer to see it, especially if you work in some like a WordPress or other platforms, Wix, or just did some of people just like a CSS, JavaScript. However, when you go there, you need to know how to create pages which are so responsive for mobile, for let's say for all devices, for tablet, for computer, for mobile phones. And this is so crucial, because if your website isn't mobile friendly, visitor will have a frustrating experience, and that can lead you to higher bounce rates and lost conversion. And what is it meaning by that? Your website should automatically adjust to different screen sizes, whether on a smartphone, tablet, or desktop. And that includes optimized images and text reflows to fit smaller screens, easy navigation with touch-friendly elements, and fast load times even on mobile networks, because we really need to create that pages for all devices. And you want to go there. It's all those we need to optimize everything from content, from letters, and you can always see that how it looks like before you publish your website, before your website goes live.
Okay, so when we're talking about responsiveness, I noticed you talked about optimizing your images, for example. Now that goes into the page load speed. I know this. But also, isn't there some meta data that you can put into your images that helps to optimize those images as well? And before we even say metadata, explain what metadata is.
Yeah, yes, we can also do it like just to put that in terms to uh, we can optimize all those kind of images and title and everything, and
Yeah,
we can
so
connect that with meta tags, with
mhm,
specific keywords. What is it about? Or
there
just
it is.
to we can create that size. We can so that when you create that image, you can go at either that you need to in that responsiveness you need to and you can put everything in small pieces and you can create everything just to see in preview mode to see
Okay, so
everything.
what I know about I have Groove Funnels, but I've also used WordPress. And WordPress is a little bit easier to manipulate for a web designer, right? To put it all in together. So if we're talking about people that want to do a web page, but they really don't want to put it together, the images that they get specifically, I know there's certain file types that can slow down the page load. Is that correct?
Yes,
What are
yes.
the suggested file types if you were to either build your own website or send it off to somebody else to build it for you, where you've got your content, you've got your keywords, you've got all those things that you want to do, but you just want somebody to plug it in? What would be the ideal file type for them to play with?
uh I think when you just in terms of file type, you mean PNG or JPEG
Yeah,
or
PNG or JPEG, yeah, or.
yeah, I mean that JPEG is mostly good enough, and PNG, of course. And what is when you mention about images, it's very important pixels. What
Yes,
is how I can say it like that you need to have full pixel image and very that you have right on
that's like the
them.
settings on
When you
just
have
for everybody
your
else out there.
original
Yeah.
image took them, because if you depends where do you go to take that images like whatever you want, and you can see that full, how I can say, full resolution,
Hmm.
just to be sometimes when I, for example, it's going to be 1000 multiple 1000 or depends, and you can just create that. You need to resize that image in terms to connect with your platform, just to see
Now,
what
is
is the
Canva
format.
something that's ideal for that resizing? Is Canva a good tool, or are there other better tools out there for
Yeah,
that
there
kind of
are
thing?
there are better images too. You can also find there are many free
Hmm.
for on internet or also Canva, but I think that you have also specific tool for resizing your images.
Yeah, I know in Canva, for example, to make sure that people understand, get a kind of a visual in their head, what we're talking about resizing. In Canva, you can tell them, for example, when you put in, I want to do a Facebook post, for example, it will tell you the pixel size of the Facebook post needed in order to make sure that image fits in their format, blah, 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 blah. You can change that in Canva by doing a resize. It's
Yes, you can
very easy.
change.
Just make sure you know what the pixels are.
Yeah, this is so important because if you can change it, but depends of pixels, and that, as I said before, if that's a resolution small, depends when you just you wanted to spread it or
Mm-hmm.
just want it to be a bigger picture or smaller, and depends on that. So, and what I noticed about Canva, for example, when you create video there, this is from my experience, not just
Mm-hmm.
for only for website. And I think when you create some let's say video, I sometimes create no sound video, like for announcement for my podcast and other things. And I see that when you create your image, for example, put your image and wanted to create just to resize, as you
Mm-hmm.
mentioned, to be big or small, another. But when you use it like to put as a video, for example, on Facebook, there's algorithm which not allows you to see many people that audio that video, when you
Yeah, it
create
doesn't
your
like the
Canva.
links in the post itself, for example. You got to put it in the comments, that kind of thing. But I also know some people use Canva to edit their videos and stuff, and it is limited in what you can do to optimize that video. Things like Riverside or GarageBand if you're doing audio, but was it Final Cut Pro for Mac or the Adobe editor? I think DaVinci is another one. Those have a little bit more ability, I think, in my opinion, to create better quality video that you actually have settings for the platform you're going to put it on. Like, for example, I know Final Cut Pro has an option for Facebook. So you can upload that video directly to Facebook in a way that even Facebook can cut off your images and video too if it's not the right size. It does require, so in a way, Facebook is its own little website where you're plugging in your own pictures. And if you ever notice with your posts and stuff, sometimes your pictures get cut off because they're not the right size. So that's a good way to make that connection. The same thing can happen with your website, but the other thing that can happen too is if the pixels are off, it can become blurry. If you have too small of a picture, for example, and you're trying to blow it up.
Yes, and for example, if you do, for example, an Instagram from computer, because sometimes it's easier when you wanted to create something that you couldn't do that on mobile. You need to resize, create, and everything. And if you create that for, let's say, Facebook and any kind of, it doesn't fit for Instagram. So you can go there and Canva and just resize.
Well, that's because the platform wants you to do it right there.
Yes.
They don't want you to go somewhere else, make it, and come back and put it.
Yeah, that's so true.
They want you on there forever.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%.
Forever. Okay, so we've talked about pictures and being aware of their sizing. I think that also you can also ask if you're using someone to develop your website, what sizes would be best. Just be aware that you can resize your images before you send everything off. Tell them that if they need anything resized, resize it. But if you're seeing your pictures, your videos, whatnot, looking a little clunky or whatever with that switch from website to mobile, then maybe it's time to tweak a little bit the way that you uploaded that video or that photo to your website. Now, that also leads into page load speed, which we have talked about. But I think the most important thing is, because we can have page load. I've seen big companies with page load problems, and then I eventually leave. So yes, it's important because you do get tired of sitting around waiting for something to load. And the mobile responsiveness is important. And I've seen how if you're not clear on where you're sending somebody, then you're not clear about how that layout needs to be on that mobile, because you don't want them scrolling too far. You don't want to have them scrolling forever to get to that call to action. But that leads us to the clear, intuitive navigation. So can you define what you mean by intuitive navigation?
Yeah, and this is before you mentioned about page loading, it's when we go to the load time is under 3 seconds, just to say it.
Yes, thank you.
When you asking me about intuitive navigation, this is a well-structured and easy-use navigation system. And this system is so critical for keeping users on your site that if visitors couldn't find what they wanted and what they are looking for quickly, they will leave your web page. They will leave your site. And clear navigation improves users' experience, UXP, and helps both end users and search engines to understand your site structure. Mostly is on how you structured your website. This is clear intuitive navigation, and that site should be like a simple and logical, like that could be like a group similar content together in categories or easy to find. This is a place where is main navigation, predictable location, like the top of the page or sidebar, or search friendly, offer one easy to use search bar for larger website with lots of content and consistent. You need to use the same navigation structure on every page for familiarity. That is like you have to be consistent on that. And
yes, because you don't want people having to hunt to get where they need to go on your website.
And when they go, as we mentioned before, like they see like an image or links doesn't work, or on that page, or if you have some, and this is so. It's so important to structure your website before you go there.
I've been to websites where like a picture didn't open,
so
but
yeah,
yet there's the text that I need to know, and it says click here to find out blah, and it's like, cool, I found it. I'll just go. I don't care about the picture. I'll just go where I came here for something. I'm going there. And that comes through, again, your background, your actual zone of genius is marketing, so is mine. That comes through knowing what your client is looking for right off the bat when they come to your website. So, and I think you've heard me use this analogy. It's the same thing as when you want to paint your house. You look up painters on the website. You're not going to sit and look at every picture. You're going to go, do they paint what I want painted, and how much is it? So you go to one website where you have this beautiful web page. I mean, beautiful. It's got all kinds of images. It might take a little while to load and all this and video and everything. All the different ways to paint things. And you're like, okay, well, that's great, but how do I find out about painting my house and getting a quote? The next one you come on is a bunch of, you say, it's a painter's website, obviously, and a picture. It says, we paint shit. Get a quote. Yeah. Which one are you going to pick? Regardless of whether that picture shows up or not, you see, we paint shit. Click here for a quote. That's what you're looking for.
Yes, and from what we spoke before today, is just to see that image is so good, like it's so full.
The better the image, the more higher converting, all of those special touches, the mobile responsiveness.
Connect with that better, just to see is that fit for them or not. When you mentioned that part.
Yeah, if you give them that, what's the thing I'm looking for, and right off the bat they can go there, then you have them, and they're not going to be too concerned about the page load speed, but you don't want it taking longer than 2 seconds, like Kristina said. And because everybody's got the attention span of a gnat to begin with, and they're impatient. Number 2, I do too. I get on website, this is taking too long. On to the next one. And that mobile responsiveness, I think, is important because that leads back to the clear navigation aspect. Making everything the same on every page. This means that one thing that everybody wants to know about when they come to your website is that one thing that needs to be front and center on every page. And then everything else is just candy for them, really, to be honest. It's just candy. What you're doing is you're addressing different people's way of buying on a website, but you have that one thing that they're there for. Amazon, you know what you're there for. And I know that's a product-based business, but if you're a service-based business, you don't need to have a website that looks like a product-based business, even if you're selling digital courses. So when you have something like that to think about, and you're selling services or you're selling products, who do you specifically support, Kristina?
You mean
service-based people or product-based people?
Service-based people.
Yeah. So with service-based people, that goes back to the painters. I mean, they're literally click here if you want to quote. So it's click here if you want to learn more about my digital course. Whatever it is that you're promoting, you want to send them there. Honestly, I don't think people really care about the about section. What do you think about that?
About section is so important.
I think it's important, but I don't think that every client wants to see it, right?
I think that it's important because you have to be present online to have some kind of presentation.
Well,
one page. Just to read about there, when you go there and you see consultant, coach, whoever, who am I, who we are, and other things.
But couldn't you do that through your content itself?
Yes, but you need to have just that person to know about you a little bit. It doesn't matter to read all 1 page, 2 pages, depends how do you in your description.
I personally, I think it also depends on how you want your about section, because personally I think a quick blurb along with some value added videos to show what it's like to work with you is like my about section. So the about section doesn't have to be a big long blog is what I'm getting at. It can be sprinkled throughout your sales page, or you can have literally the about section, or you can have a quick little tiny about section for those that are specifically looking for that on your sales page.
When some go there under 3 seconds and just hit okay, just read it very quickly. And
yeah, and it's want to learn more, click here if you so desire to have more information. It depends on your business, I think, too.
yes,
I
yes, of
think it
course.
does. I think if you are somebody that's done for you service, you might have an about section that's a quick blurb on your sales page, but you can say, click here to see more of my work, which gives you more of your about section. Let your work speak for yourself kind of thing. There's many different ways to handle that piece. Some other aspects that are perhaps for service providers on the home page. Testimonials. What do you think?
Yes, it's so important. Testimonials.
Now, I know that recently here in the United States, they've been kind of hammering down on people that do the testimonials. So they want the proof. You know, you can't just say I made somebody X amount of dollars. You got to have the proof. So what about that situation where you have clientele who don't want their picture, don't want their name used?
Maybe you can do it, but I don't want to say like a word of mouth, but maybe I think that there will give something like some of peace about that they're
Maybe a
satisfied.
quote, or you could say and
something like
put
that.
it in your value added
Try to
stuff,
be
working
a
with
real
client A.
testimony, a real testimonial, not just to say someone,
Yeah.
and would you like to be my testimonial? Because I think behind the scene, we need to be who we are in real life, and also to present ourselves in terms that you are as a people, when you go to talk about personal branding, people just wanted to connect with that person.
Yeah.
Sometimes there are people who wanted to see who is that person who I'm going to work with, and then see what that
see what other people are saying about them. I think testimonials are very powerful. There are some niches where they can't use the name of the person because it's a very private service. But I think at the same time, that's where you get into a situation where you have somebody like lawyers and psychologists. They can't.
Yeah, it depends on industry. It doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
it depends on the industry.
All people will give that.
Now, I have heard of, and I am totally against this. You talked about the behind the scenes thing and being transparent. I'm 100% against telling people what to say in your testimonials. I have worked with and fired clients for making people say exactly what they want to hear about their services versus listening to what they have to say. A negative testimonial is actually far more powerful for you behind the scenes than anything else under the sun. So besides just getting don't just be like, I need to get a testimonial, get what they have to say. That's more important than just grabbing the testimonial. I mean, the testimonial increases your authority, blah, 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 blah. But I think that's more important than just getting the testimonial. That's the mindset around the testimonial.
Mindset, and when you mention we need to hear from our clients how we solve their problem, their pain points, case studies, whatever.
That and how we can provide it better.
Yes.
You know.
But, and we, as you said, maybe we don't need to do it like that. You wanted to. What do you want to hear from me as your client?
Right.
As testimony. I have to say, just its example.
Why am I? Okay, go ahead.
It's example that myself, I wanted to say exactly, Leah created for me such an amazing web page, or
something. Well, tell them I would like for you to put some tangible aspects, such as how many followers you got, or what what kind of, if you're willing to say it, what kind of income or how much time you gain back, whatever that problem is you're solving in your services. You need to create that tangible aspect. And sometimes people are very good-hearted. They give great testimonials, but there's no tangible aspect because they're not really quite sure what you wanted in that testimonial. So yes, you want them to be as natural as possible and say amazing things. But for example, one of the best testimonials I got was, if you could give me some numbers in your testimonial, and he came back with, I was able to 3 times my income. I was able to get this many clients and serve them without, losing my freaking mind. Things like that. It's I have had coaches ask me to like, hey, could you just, give me some numbers, not tell me what to say, but almost like, for lack of a better word, an outline template / bullet points that they would like to see in the testimonial that they're looking for, that speaks to their services and what they're providing. as an example. So that's why it becomes very important to really understand what the hell it is you're selling in the first place so that you can get those clear testimonials. Now, the next section of a web, now I'm speaking specifically to sales pages. I personally believe that a sales page should be your home page, but the way that I see a sales page is more of a value added page with a clear call to action. And that's why I'm talking about the about section versus having it off. You can have it off in the menu, don't get me wrong. About that's on all websites, we have an about section on the menu. But on your sales page, you need an about section, but it's not the big headliner. The big headliner is the value you add. Underneath that, we have that this is for you, this is not for you. Now, what about frequently asked questions? How many frequently asked questions do you think should be on a web page?
I I'm not, from my perspective, I'm not too much with with just like with that questions, but let's say 5 to 10. This is
you don't want to inundate them with too many.
Yeah,
right?
not too many. I'm not because I think that we need something which is so approachable and very exactly. Like exact, just to be not.
Well, wouldn't you think that the frequently asked questions would be more of what can I expect? Like when I click this link, is this going to send me to the Calendly link? Do I schedule or how do I send payment? Those kind of things, I think, in frequently asked questions are far more valuable than what are your services like? You can show that in your content. The other aspect is, what about the this is for you, this is not for you section? You know what I'm talking about? Where you say this is for you if you are, this is not for you if you are.
I don't like it too much.
Why not? That's interesting.
Because sometimes when you put that some kind of, if you put something like a sentences and say, okay, this is for you if I think that if I see that for me, that page and that website that person that can solve my problem, I know exactly where I am and where I wanted to go as a client.
Oh, I see what you're saying. You're saying if I'm already there on your website, you have done what you needed to do beforehand before I get there.
Yes.
To explain what your service is.
Because I go to research it and I wanted to, let's say I wanted to buy today like a yellow shirt. And I see that the one of the best. So just maybe this is product based, but service based as well.
But product based is usually easier to make that connection and analogies.
And I see that is a fit and size and, for myself and everything. And I don't need that question.
Yeah, see now what you're talking about, and this is something that I cover in my free mini course, is basically understanding how you like to buy.
Yeah.
And you'll attract the same type of person that likes to buy like you.
And I see, I like this. I wanted to buy it, so I don't need to care if this one is a cotton.
You're what's called the informed customer. Right? Before you come to somebody you're already weighing your options. You already know what you want. You're not going to sit there and wait for somebody to come to you.
Yeah, but maybe when you mentioned that, excuse me for this, when you mentioned that, maybe that could be for something like for some courses, for some educational part.
Yes.
This is in the other aspect.
Yeah, because you kind of, because I've worked with teachers online. And they do kind of have to say, hey, if you don't have these things in place, this course is not for you. Click here if you're at this space.
Works.
Yeah.
In that case, it works.
Yeah. I think also you can also reveal through your content whether or not that person is ready for your services. Like, for example, for me, I will do it. This is not for you because I am somebody who is looking for someone who's had certain things in place before they come to my services. The beginners are going to be looking for, those people in their first 1 to 5 years of business are going to be looking for step-by-step instructions, for example. So you have to be clear about what's inside of those services that they're thinking about buying. But when you have something like mine that are more consultative and more for implementation, then you need to be clear about the things you need to have in place before you join in on this program.
So both side works.
Huh?
Both sides of that works, as we said.
It depends on your business.
Yes.
100%
We
depends on your
agree with
business.
that. You
Yeah,
and me.
yeah. That I think that there's a lot of ideas about what should be done, but I think these three things, we're going to recap for just a bit before we end this interview, which has been very informative, and I thank you for coming. But the three things that you're saying right now, the biggest takeaway from this is, if you're going to build your website, the three areas to really pay attention to are mobile responsiveness, making sure that that person can still navigate on a mobile, because let's face it, everybody's looking on their phone. Or iPad. And page load speed. You don't want it taking forever. Now, we can't control where somebody is and their ability to get to the internet, but we can control our images and their size, and the pixels is what you said specifically. And finally, the clear, intuitive navigation, which I think right there, that's a study in your client and what people are doing on the website to increase that effectiveness, don't you think?
Yeah, that's so true. And visitors need that just to, and we said if I go that it's under 3 seconds, so I see this, I see that, so it works, and I can load it and I can listing, just one by one, and people don't have time to go.
Yeah, it's very basic, but it's also, but I think we get caught up so much in all the you should be doing. That's why I brought up the if you're not, the about section, and I played a little bit of devil's advocate with you, because what it really boils down to is you really need to understand how your services work and how your client needs to engage with them so that they make a solid investment in your services, versus one where it's like, I think it's okay for me.
And just don't forget to structure your website in terms of clear, intuitive navigation. This is so important.
Okay, so now let's review the structure. You mean that's like either the sidebar or across the top?
Yes.
Yeah, the navigational menu is what she's talking about. Put it in the same place.
Sidebar, like pages,
Yeah, the drop down, but they have it in the same spot every time. Every time you go to a website, you know where the search bar is.
Yeah, and it's so important to be search friendly, as I mentioned. It's often and easy to use for such a search bar for larger websites with a lot of content.
Yeah, like Amazon. For example, even though that's product based, but
such big companies,
Yeah. Yeah, but I think the gift of the small business is you don't have to look like a big company. You can give that more personal feel to your website, which feels like more like, hey, we're not dealing in everybody under the sun. We are serving this particular person in a very customized setting. But the small business space, I think, has more opportunity for that than anything anybody else does. If you want to step out in competition, that intuitive navigation helps, but it also shows that you're listening to your clients and what they need and how you can, just that alone. I mean, that's crazy how where you put the freaking navigation menu can tell people about how much you care about how easy it is for them to go through your services just through your website alone.
Yeah.
So yes, these three things: mobile responsiveness, make sure you don't put giant pictures in there and pay attention to the pixels, and clear navigation, which is where the heck is your menu bar? Where's your space so people can go click, I want to go to that page. So thank you so much, Kristina, for joining me today.
Thank you so much for inviting me today. Thank you so much, and I really appreciate. And I think that through that conversation will be helpful for listeners and visitors.
I think also a lot of this stuff can also help you have some clarity about who to hire to do your website too. So I am going to let everyone know Kristina's information is down in the show notes. If you'd like to connect with her, her zone of genius is marketing. But digital she can help you understand
marketing.
Well, she can help you understand what it is. The two of us are more like generalists. We can sit down and look at which strategy you're using and tell you how to best implement it. That's what we do. Right? Am I spot on there?
Yeah, and I can help you how to build your online presence using strategies and tools to get more visibility.
That's right.
Create for you and mapping out digital marketing plan, as we mentioned. And in between that in how to structure your website.
Yes, exactly. And that's what the two of us do. But at the same time, you want to work with somebody that you resonate with and you feel like you can work with that person. So that's why Kristina is here today, even though she's pretty much the same thing I am. But but she also serves a very specific client just as I do. So in order to make business effortless, everyone, continue to be you, continue to be present, continue to study what your passions are. Thank you so much for joining me today, and be sure to check out the show notes for more value and support.
Thanks so much. Bye for now.
Thank you for listening to the Making Business Effortless podcast. This edition was done live inside the Effortlessly Book community. For access to the full version and future live broadcasts inside the Effortlessly Book community, check the show notes for a link to the Effortlessly Book community, where you will also gain access to free and paid services supporting you on your journey to a fully booked, sustainable, and effortless business.